versus improv. Everyone's been talking about it. Everyone's been talking about it everywhere. What is it and how is it different than improv? And we're going to explain what those things are, okay? It's by me, Hey Kip. I made this little PowerPoint slide. All right? I want to start off with a beautiful quote, which is, "The flop is the friend of the clown," by Gaulier. Very famous, some would say the master of clown. He's been teaching clown for a long time in France. He doesn't really teach as much anymore, but has been a very influential person in the clown scene, pretty much globally. So I thought this quote will become relevant as time goes on. The flop is the friend of the clown. That'll become relevant later, but just let that sit with you. The flopping, failing, is something a clown loves to do. What's up, Willie? All right, before we get into it, my background. Why do I have the authority to speak on this subject? Well, I've done improv for 8 years. I've done short form. I've done long form improv comedy. I've read Truth in Comedy. I've read the UCB manual. I've been doing it a lot. I've gone to a lot of workshops. I've done a lot of shows. I've seen a lot of shows. I've been doing it since high school. And just theater in general. I've done theater for a long time. My major is in theater. I've done a lot of musicals. I've been in plays. I also have a lot of movement experience. I've done dance for 10 years, mainly jazz, ballet, and modern, but I have also done like hip hop and tap and all these other things, but those are kind of my main focuses. So hopefully with that kind of background, I can kind of give you some comfort to know that I kind of sort of know what I'm talking about. A lot of times I don't know what I'm talking about. Half of the time when people are talking to me, I don't know what they're talking about. Usually when it's referencing movies or films or actors or pretty much any kind of media, I don't know what anyone's talking about. But right now, in this moment, I know exactly kind of what I'm talking about. So yeah, and again, I also at the same time don't know what I'm talking about. And you can make fun of me for having a theater degree. That's fine because it is funny. It is funny. I was almost a math major, and then became a theater major, which is kind of improv. I'll say that's like an improv move, and I'll explain that later, because improv's kind of math. Anyway, so clowns. Who were clowns? When people think of clowns, I think of people usually think of like Bozo the Clown, which was like a very famous character that was on TV shows and also had this animated series where they would play these games with kids and mess around and just truly entertaining kids. But clowns date back to like so long ago, like Egyptians times, like literally forever ago. Joseph Grimaldi was kind of like the first modern clown, the ways that we think of it now, and did a lot of pantomime, which is kind of more mimey, and that's a whole other thing. Mime and clown are different. Mime is like literally pantomiming, which is like pretending to do something. Clown is more clowning around, and I'll explain that. But I just figure I'd throw some names at you to kind of get you in the mood of like what were clowns. Clowns are also very native to like indigenous culture. The Pueblo clown, which was a clown that we used for a lot of different reasons, which I'll get into. But these are just some examples of clowns as the way we maybe know it or don't know it. Also, Bozo the Clown was played by like so many different characters. It wasn't just one guy who was playing Bozo. They were like almost like every 2 or 3 years on this like TV show that it was just a bunch of different guys playing Bozo. And then there was just one guy who voiced the animated series, but that's a whole different series thing to talk about. Also, hello, Easy. How are you doing? Another little clown in the chat. Hello. I just wanted to kind of put this on its own image because I think a lot of people are scared of clowns. I think a lot of people think this is what a clown is. This is not what a clown necessarily is. It is not limited to the white face paint and the red nose. That is not what clown is restricted to. So I want this stream to kind of open your mind to what clowning can be and what is. So I just want to kind of put that out there as well. I have no idea what's happening, but very interesting stream. Heck yes, Isa. Also, hi, Eamon. How you doing? So what did clowns do? What were clowns doing since the beginning of time to now? So clowns from the beginning were also a really important part of like creating rituals. They would put on these garbs and create rituals for bringing rain for crops or for religious purposes, socio-religious roles, and that was a really big focus for clowns. As time went on, Clowns were jesters in a royal court and there to entertain, to make people feel something, ultimately to risk it all to entertain us. They would make big risks, they would act a fool to entertain the masses. But that's not necessarily what clown is fully. It's not fully just to make an ass of yourself, although it's very fun to do, and a lot of people do it that way. Clown is an entertainment that focuses on being present with an audience and making you feel something. It's about making you feel something. Yeah, I'm having fun. It's a great idea. Yes, I just want to get the message out. I want to get the message out that hopefully I can kind of explain a little bit of what that is. I also want to go to this video about Commedia dell'arte, because this is an old theater art form that plays a lot with masks. This is like centuries old theater form that plays with a lot of tropes and like stereotypes in the truest sense of like the old man who's rich and grumpy, and like the young man who's the hero, like that. This is where a lot of archetypes that a lot of people use to write stories nowadays, this is where a lot of it comes from. So are stand-up comedians clowns? No. Oh, you'll get to it. I'm going to take a bunch of questions at the end. But stand-up comedians can be clowns, and clowns can be stand-up comedians, but it's sort of a gray area, and we'll explain it. I'll explain it because a lot of it is like this. So, but there are differences to it. But we're going to just watch a little bit of this video because I think it's important. This is kind of explaining.
Commedia dell'arte was an improvised form of theatre. It's an oral tradition, so it doesn't start in the brain with language and text. It starts in the body by experiencing something. And when you commit 100% to the shape and the energy, you begin to get the essence of the character that you're playing.
So just what that person just said right now is it's about finding it in the body and then letting it come afterwards. Clown is a lot about taking shapes and not much talking, though that's not true. There are clowns that talk and clowns that don't. But ultimately, it's about taking your body and having it say something without having to use words. Words in clown can be seen as cheating. It can be used as hiding the vulnerability you feel in your body, where a lot of times, even in Twitch streaming, you use your voice a lot, you don't use your body a lot to communicate to people. Clowning is kind of the exact opposite. You're using your body to convey your emotions, your feelings, a character, a premise that you're giving an audience, and then the words can come later. The words are not the vessel. I'll say that, like, words are kind of like carbs in a way, where, you want the protein and fat, the protein fat is very good, and that's like the meat in a taco. The taco is just a vessel to get the meat into your body, and I'll say that's what words are. Words are there to help clowns add a little more pizzazz to what their body's trying to say. I think that's maybe a good way of saying that. Yeah.
There are 3 types of character: masters and the servants who are masked, and the lovers who are unmasked. In the mask, there's a lot of information. So what we want to do is put in the body the thing that matches the mask in your energy and your sound and the way that you think. Because they wore half masks and the mask is fixed, it's the work that you do with your voice and your body and your emotions that brings the mask to life.
Yeah, mask work is really fun too. There's a lot of classes in LA that you can take that has mask work. You can make your own mask and do something. But a lot of times, back in the day when we were doing this work, when people were doing this kind of work, they were doing it in these giant, like, not Coliseums, but just like giant theaters where, we didn't have projectors to show zoom in angles of people's faces. So masks were a really great and easy way for people from far away to be able to see what a character was feeling. And so playing into the stereotype of a character was kind of an easy way for an audience to kind of figure out like what this character is. Yeah. Steve-O went to clown school and has done tons of stunts. Are insane stunts considered clowning? I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
And the masks are types. The characters are types. For example, the Doctor is really large and he oozes words and thoughts. He's like oil. Whereas his neighbor Pantalone is really mean and vinegary. These are the positions of the main characters in Commedia.
So yeah, this is the whole thing. I mean, if you want to watch the rest of the video, I'll post it. And, I just wanted to kind of get the beginning parts of how body movement, I think, is very important to clown. Rat Doodle, thank you for the raid. What's up? We're explaining the difference between Matt. Also, what's up, Matt? The difference between clown and improv. And how, truly the intersectionality of that and other comedy forms. Yeah. Thank you for the raid. I hope y'all are having a good time playing Fortnite. Yeah. Yeah, stream people can clown. Yeah. Stream looks awesome. I have to circus stuff, so I have some clown improv friends. Heck yeah. Because I think a lot of people again assume like clown is like Cirque du Soleil. It is like the red nose, and I'll kind of talk about the modern clown movement in a little bit. But Ratoodle, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So yeah, modern clown nowadays, and this is very much particularly speaking to the scene that is happening currently in LA. I am not going to be talking about any other scenes because I'm not a part of those scenes, and I don't feel like I am well equipped enough to explain that. Ultimately, modern clown versus this is kind of what clown was back in the day and kind of what it is now, but this is what clown is right now in the LA alternative comedy scene. Clown is about acknowledging an audience. Making eye contact with an audience is key. Clown is also very responsible for taking care of an audience. A clown should never make an audience feel threatened. They should never make the audience to be the bad guy, not necessarily. It's a hard line. They should never make an audience, again, feel uncomfortable or unsafe. That is not good clown work. A clown is there ultimately for fun. They're there to make things lighthearted. They're there to play and make the audience feel something. That is something that stand-up kind of does a little bit. Stand-up is about looking at an audience and talking to them, though it is scripted and kind of sticks to the point. Crowd work is a little clown. I'll say that. People who do crowd work, that's more clown. It's a little more talking, obviously, but a lot of clips that do really well on TikTok are crowd work, and it does well because it's kind of clown, and clown is really cool, so that makes sense why it does really well. So acknowledging the audience. Improv does not acknowledge the audience a lot of times, not always, really depends. So number one about clown is that it acknowledges the audience. You are not pretending to do something. You are a clown as a person, and you are with an audience, and you both understand that this is like a show. Like the fourth wall is constantly broken the entire time the moment you stand on stage. Clowns can be storytellers, absolutely, yes. I think it comes more with the body and it having more of a playful side, but not always. There's the sad clown, there's a serious clown, there's all kinds of clowning. But ultimately, at the end of the day, clowning is about acknowledging the audience. Number two is playing to the absurd of who we really are. So I think something that's very fun, again, is that the audience knows it's you. You're not playing a character in an improv scene. You're not pretending to be like a doctor or anything like that. You're looking at the audience and you're going, I know I'm dressed as a doctor right now, and that's what's funny is because you probably know I'm not a doctor right now. And that alone is silly. Changing little things about normal things and making it slightly absurd. Like wearing shoes that are a little too big, wearing pants that are a little too small. Taking normal life and making it just a little bit weird, I think is a really important element of clown. It's playing absurd to the normal. I find that personally very fun. I like being able to see a show where someone is literally just playing themselves, but they just have one odd thing about them. And it's not that odd, but it's just, there's something about it that's very hilarious. I like it. I do enjoy that. Another thing about modern clown is that people are going against the norms. That's something I personally really enjoy about clowning, is that clowning in the scene right now is about challenging institutions that play in the comedy scene and just society in general. It's subverting traditional clown. It's subverting people's expectations of what performing should be and just kind of breaking it. Improv, there's a lot of rules. Clown, there is kind of no rules. Ultimately, the only role of a clown is to connect with an audience and make them feel something. And so And there's a lot of activism with clown. There's a lot of clown groups in all of history that have been like anarchist clowns that have gone to protest. There's a YouTube video that someone did about anti-establishment clowns, which is really cool. I highly recommend checking it out. We won't watch all of it because it's a 40-minute YouTube essay, so I'm not going to do that. But it's a great listen. I highly recommend it. But that's something I really appreciate about that is performance in general, I would say, has a history of challenging norms, challenging the status quo. In theater, in plays, in stand-up, in improv, I think they also have that element as well. But there's something really fun about clown that does it in a way that I personally really enjoy. That's my own thing. Do you have any takes on the intersection of this type of artistry and Twitch? It's almost the same, but it's done differently. Because at the end of the day, clowns want your love and they want your attention and they want you to have a good time. And Twitch is the same way. Twitch streamers, I think, want attention and they want people in chat to acknowledge them and they want them to feel something. And it's just being done in different ways. Twitch is done vocally with very minimal movement versus clowning is done with minimal speaking and a lot of movement. So it's very fun. I think there's a lot of crossover in that way as well. Although to changing to many things to absurd would be too much, like fashionless is more. Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's just those little tweaks. I think those little tweaks are very fun. When you try to do any kind of thing, whether that's dance or theater or clowning or art, when you try to do too much at once, it's overwhelming for an audience, you know? If you try to do 5 different art styles in one thing, it becomes a bit overwhelming. I think it's hard to read. And I would say with improv too, when you're doing improv and you're doing something with a scene partner and you're giving them like 5 different ideas, it becomes a big mess. A little bit and growing with it, I think, can relate to any kind of art form, whether that's live performance or not live performance. Is silent comedy clowning? Yes, it can be. It kind of depends what you mean by that. Silent comedy. I don't like silent comedy is like silent clown. I'll show an example of silent clown in a little bit. Yeah, I guess with Twitch it's a little bit harder to read the vibe of the audience. Yeah, absolutely. That's where I think the disconnect comes from, is like there's emotes that can help and there's people in chat that maybe you've met in person, so that makes it a little easier, or like people you've met who also stream or people you've hung out in Discord, so you can tell their cadence by the way that they type. But when you don't have that, it's very difficult to gauge if an audience likes it, because a lot of times sometimes when you do something and people are typing in chat and you do something and then no one types in chat, it's like, oh, did I say something, or maybe there was something they didn't like, and you have to kind of figure that out. It's hard, or maybe not, maybe people just type. There's a lot don't type. It's really a lot of guesswork that I think is just something humans are not capable of figuring out, because it's an unnatural format, but we do it anyways because there's something fun about it. Yeah, the rat essentially made fun of police by filling their pockets with dildos and bouncy balls. Yeah, see, that's a fantastic way for clowns to really get into it. It's great. I think it's awesome. So I'm gonna explain the difference between modern clown and how is that not improv? What's the difference between clown and improv? Well, improv does not have to acknowledge the audience. There's a lot of times when you're doing improv, I'm not really gonna explain improv, I'm just gonna kind of assume everyone here knows, but if you don't know improv, basically, there's different types, but you're on stage with a couple people and you're basically creating a story out of thin air. You create a relationship with someone on stage. You're basically making a play. You're doing a little mini play, a mini scene, and you're making it up as you go. That's basically what improv is. Clown, you can also make up as you go, but you can have a premise and have something scripted, but have something change over time. But improv is like fully not scripted. You're not looking at the audience. You are very in tune with your scene partners and trying to build a world on stage that an audience is there to witness. The audience can have an influence on that, but I find that very difficult. As someone who's done improv for almost 10 years, when I switched to clowning, it was one of the hardest things for me to overcome. One of the hardest things for me to overcome was staring an audience in the face. Improv, you do not do that unless you're like starting and you're asking people for a suggestion. After that, it's like, okay, I'm no longer looking at the audience. I'm fully present with my scene partners because I want to listen to them and be able to like create the story. But there's something so beautiful about looking at an audience and doing something and then going like, did you like that? Did you like that or did you not like that? And then having to really focus and be like, did they like this or not? And it's not even from laughs. It's like, not even if they're laughing, but if they're even like really engaged and staring at you. It's like, okay, they're interested in this. I'm going to keep going with that. Versus like, how many times have you seen bad improv? I've done so much bad improv, and I've also done a bunch of bad clown. That's true. But I personally think that bad clown is more entertaining than bad improv, because at least when you're doing bad clown, you're staring at me and you're trying to figure it out. I appreciate that you're willing to be so vulnerable and stare me in the face while you do something that's not entertaining for me. Yeah, not just asking them if they liked it, but also just sharing with them how you're feeling. Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you're doing something and you're paying attention to an audience and you tell them, like, you can even say, like, I can't even tell if you like this. But you say it with your body, and you can't say it with words, but you have to be a little creative with that. You can't just stand up your way out of it. I'll say that. Yeah, a lot of emotions, like sharing, being vulnerable, sharing how you're feeling. It's just beautiful. I think it's a very beautiful art form, and it requires a lot of vulnerability. Yeah, silent clown is that mime. I don't know what silent clown is. Well, maybe this is a great time to show you what that is. But before that, I do want to finish explaining how improv is different than clown. Improv has a lot of very strict set of rules that is very hard to learn once you know improv for a while. I know a lot of people who have an improv background who go into clowning, and it's very hard for them to unlearn things, because in improv you learn like these basic rules. Like, it's like 5 rules and you have to learn all of them. Of like, you have to have a relationship with someone in your scene. You have your scene partner, you have a relationship. This is my sister. Okay, where are we? We're in a Chili's, and there's something going on. Not necessarily a conflict, but there's something going on of like, oh, hey, sister, like, I can't believe it's been 10 years and we're reuniting at a Chili's. Like, that's now what the scene is, and then you can kind of explore from there. Clowning, there's basically no rules. So you don't have to set up a relationship with, like, another clown person on stage. It's really about, like, making something compelling, making something interesting. And I do really enjoy that. I think a meme that a lot of people say is, like, you know, you follow the UCB handbook to a T. If you don't know what that is, it's a comedy book written by UCB Upright Citizens Brigade, which was started by like Matt Besser, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, like all those SNL people. And Matt Besser wrote a book about like the pillars of improv. And then when you read the book, I've read the book, it's very math. It's very much an equation. And that can be really good for helping build like sketch, and it can be a very fun art form. But again, if you're someone like me who doesn't like rules and likes to just kind of like fuck with them, that's where clowning can be very satisfying. Chad Damiani, who was the clown boss, who did the improv, who did the clown show, not the improv show, who did the clown show for Streamer Smackdown. He works with a lot of improv people and has been teaching like how to bring clowning into improv classes, which I think is really great. Yeah. But again, the word improv, I just want to say improv is like improv comedy, which is like, yeah, UCB, you're doing a scene and there's ABC, there's plot lines, whatever. Clown can be improvised, but it's not necessarily improv in the same way that like jazz can be improvised, dance can be improvised. That doesn't mean jazz is improv, because improv is its own thing. Improv is improvisational comedy. So I just want to kind of get that sort of straight. Again, clown can be improvised, but not always. I think as Chad Damiani has a podcast. If you want to learn a lot more about clowning, type into Spotify or whatever thing, Stand Up and Clown. It's a really great podcast where he has clowns and comedians on talking about clown. And explains a lot of stuff a lot better than I can. I also took some of the stuff he has said on his podcast and put it on this this PowerPoint, so I do want to give credit to that. But a lot of this is also just from my own experience of doing this. But yeah, we're gonna watch some silent clown. We're gonna watch Chad. We're gonna watch Chad do silent clown because I think it'd be funny to put him on blast. Yeah. I have never witnessed clowning on stage like theater. Is it more common in your country? I don't know how common it is in a lot of places, but I specifically, I would say in like, I don't know if they're really doing it in Chicago, because I'm just not connected with that. I know in New York, there's a tiny bit. No, there's quite a bit. I don't know. Again, I don't know much about what's happening in that scene. But LA has a lot of clowns. There's a lot of different types of clown. There are people out here that are doing the traditional red nose. I would say it's not as common, but people are doing it. There are teachers from Cirque du Soleil that are teaching classes. There's so many different types of clowning, in the same way that there's a lot of different types of stand-up. There's a lot of different types of dance. Like, in the same way that there's jazz and ballet and tap and hip-hop. With dance, I would say it's the same thing with clown. Clown, there is a lot of different types of clown people, but the fundamentals are kind of still there, right? Of like stretching, knowing how to do the splits, like pointing your foot or flexing your foot. It's like it's an umbrella term. I think clown is definitely an umbrella term, and there's a lot of things that can fall under that, for sure. Yeah, great podcast. I've never listened to it, but I've heard it's good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I feel like clowning is hard to identify as bad because you can be building to a point, whereas the improv, it feels like it's supposed to be like laugh, laugh, laugh. Yeah, I think with improv, because it is fully improvised, I think a lot of people can kind of go in with the expectation of like, oh, is probably going to be bad. But if it's good, then it's really good, and that's so satisfying. Of like, wow, they really made all of this up. That's impressive. Like, the bar is lower, I'll say. Versus clowning, I think you should come in with a premise and be willing to change that and explore that with an audience over time. Clowning is a lot of devising work, I'll say, as well. Some people do go up and do clown and just fully improvise, but I think it's better to have something to fall back to, whether that's like a costume or music or some sort of movement that you have planned, or just like a general theme. I think as a clown is a really great way to I think it's good. I think it's good to do that. There are classes like Idiot Workshop that's in LA that focuses on fully having nothing on your mind and just going on stage and just doing random shit and seeing what sticks. That class is really about getting into the shit, like getting deep into shit and getting out of the shit that you put yourself into. It's getting in trouble on stage and making like super risky, vulnerable choices and trying to win an audience back. It's really hard and it's really vulnerable, and I'll say not everyone can do it. I've seen people in classes where people just don't get it, and you can't even explain it. It's hard. It's really hard to explain. You talk to people, again, like even me explaining clowning, it's still kind of hard, and there's a lot of gray area. But I'll say not everyone can fully get it, but I think anyone can do clown, and I think people, even if you don't get it, I think people who can't get it can still do clown. That's very funny. That's what I'll say there. I would say clown is rather underground in general, but building a large presence in the comedy scene. Yes, absolutely. In like the 70s and the 80s, I know I was going to play this video. I'm going to not, because I'm going on a tangent again. The ways that modern clown is having a resurgence, because again, one of the oldest art forms in terms of live performance. But if anyone was alive then, because some people who are watching might, but in the 70s and 80s, that's when improv like started to become a thing. Improv at the time was used like by Second City, and it was mainly just used as a way to like devise work into making something. It was to like help people build sketches. It was not its own standalone thing. But then, what was his name again? Some fucking Second City guy. What was his name? I wrote down notes on my phone. Not that it's important, but I think it's cool to know the history. What was her name? I don't have the name. Anyway, it was used to generate materials. To show off, to see like what premises were interesting enough to then like create something and actually perform it. And then some people were like, no, this as an art form alone can stand by itself. I don't think that we need to have this just as like a tool. Like, this can be a fun performance for people. And that's what it became. You know, like people like Steve Carell and a bunch of people like came out of Second City at its resurgency, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing happening right now with clowning. I think clowning is having its improv moment that was happening in the 70s and in the 80s, which is really exciting. You know, if you know any clown stuff that's happening in a city by you, just look up on Instagram, look at local theaters in your area and see if they're doing anything. Even just DM like a local theater in your area and ask if they know anything. That's the best way to kind of get involved, because I think getting involved in clowning right now feels like a secret. It's like, oh, like getting in the ground floor of something that I think is going to blow up very soon, and kind of already has. People have already been writing articles in newspapers and blogs about clowning. I mean, speaking of famous clowns, we have to watch this funny, so fucking funny. Okay, Hillary Clinton interviews a 100-year-old French clown. This is Gaulier. The first PowerPoint slide I had from the quote was by this guy. This is the funniest thing ever. I can't believe that this happened. The fact that Natalie Palamides is talking to Gaulier and fucking Hillary Clinton in some fucking restaurant in France. Do you know how funny this is? Does anyone understand how hilarious this is? This is one of the funniest things ever. Natalie Palamides is a clown, and she's done stuff with Chad and Stamptown a bunch, and also has a solo show that's absolutely fantastic. If you ever hear about her, go please watch her stuff. She's absolutely incredible. I've had the honor to see her boobs live on stage, which is really awesome. But this is Hillary Clinton talking to a clown, and it's just, and he's just old, and he's a really important clown in the history of it all. But he's just weird, man.
Philippe, what's the difference for a woman in comedy than a man in comedy? Can they do the same thing?
Comedy is okay, but clown is more difficult.
Yes.
Because if you are a young boy, you come home, your costume is completely dirty, or your mother still loves you.
Yeah.
If you are a girl, it's not sure your father still loves you.
Isn't that crazy? This guy, again, he's old and he talks so weird, and he's very knowledgeable. He's very knowledgeable. I have friends who have taken his class. There's something called Gaulier, which is a 2-week course that happens in France in the summer and in the winter. I have like close friends that have gone to France and have taken this class, and they've gotten a lot out of it. It's a really beautiful experience, and I was considering doing it next year. But also, what's up, Jacob? Hi. Hello. Yeah, Natalie on Netflix. If you want to watch, on the right, this is Natalie Palamides, a fantastic comedian, fantastic clown, has a special, not stand-up, but just has like a comedy special on Netflix called Nate, a one-man show. Highly recommend. It's really fucking weird. I haven't watched all of it. I've seen clips, because I've had the honor to see basically that in person. So please go check it out. They also have a year-long course as well, which one of our friends is taking. Yeah. Isn't this a hilarious video, Rap? It's hilarious. There's a scene in Chicago for sure, but in general, culturally in America, I think it's just not a super popular art form. I think so too. I think stand-up is way more popular. I think sketch is way more popular. But I'm just saying, in the next like 10 years, like clowning as that people are building it now in terms of like the modern, clown scene that's happening right now, specifically in LA. Like, I think people like Business Casual are finding a way to take elements of clown and bring it into sketch or bring it into improv and create something really interesting and new. I think a lot of people can attest to wanting to find connection. I think people are really hungry for that kind of connection, of literally physically a eyeball connection. And I think that stand-up doesn't really do it well, because you can kind of just not even look at an audience. You can just recite what you're doing. And same with sketch. Sketch doesn't have to acknowledge an audience. Improv does not have to acknowledge an audience. When I go to a clown show, I know that as an audience member, I will feel like a clown is looking at me and trying to give me whatever I want. I think it's magic. I think it's magic, and I think it's really fun. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with stand-up specifically. Sketch, also not so much, but just particularly from my perspective of doing improv and just theater in general for a long time, as a performer and as an audience member, clown is very beautiful. I think clown is very beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of clown and burlesque too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to see one of your shows, Nurse. That'd be really fun. Marry, fuck, kill, clown, improviser, stand-up. I think you have to kill the stand-up. Oh no, but then I marry the clown for sure, and I think I kill the other two anyway. That's what I would do. Anyway, let's watch the rest of this 1-minute clip. Also, hi, Kat.
For a woman, it's more dangerous to be idiot like for a man. And we can see when you teach, woman wants to be charming clown. But I knew some woman The monster, fantastic, but not so many.
I think I'm more of a monster.
That's just a slight clip. But yeah, again, go watch Nate on Netflix. It's really great, and I'm guessing this is a clip from that. But very, very funny. I think, yeah, clowning's really, it's very cool. Did I have another video? Oh, Silent Clown. I was going to show you some Silent Clown, and it's funny because he's dressed as a mime, so it's kind of a joke, and this is, again, subverting expectations. The difference between Silent Clown and Silent Improv is, or a Silent Clown versus silent, like, or just mime. Mime is like literally miming something. It's like you are pretending you are doing something, and you are also still acknowledging the audience. So it's clown, it is clown in that way. But like, for example, I saw a mime show recently. Oh, it was so fucking good. It was so fucking good. It was like 7 different mimes coming up doing their own thing. Like they each had like 5-10 minutes to do this whole scene. And some had music, some didn't. But they came dressed up, not just as mimes. Like they dressed up as characters. And they were doing mime. Like there was someone who was like a baseball player who was like pretending to play baseball. It was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. But again, it's a lot of this. I'm sorry. It's not easy to explain. It's a lot of this. So it's more like participatory for the audience members. Like the audience feedback loop is more important in clown. Oh, absolutely. A clown is desperate. A clown is so desperate. A clown, but not too desperate, because if they're so desperate, then the audience doesn't like it. But secretly, a clown wants to win. And by winning, they want to win over an audience. They want you to feel something. They want you to feel connected. And yeah. So the worst thing a clown could do is like not look at an audience, which was why you heard so much during Chad's show. Like if you watch Streamer SmackDown, you can see the moments that like people like look at like me and Dylan or just Jess or anyone, like take a second and like look at an audience and everyone laughs. Because it's like, yes, you remember you're doing this silly thing and we're right here watching you do this most ridiculously like silly thing. Yeah, it's important. What's your review of Non's mime? I haven't seen the clip, but there's this very fun rivalry, and it's kind of a joke, but not. It is a joke. To me, it is, because like I don't give a shit. But there's this whole thing like clown versus mime, and them butting heads a lot. That's like a classic old rivalry. So when Non did the mime thing, I was like, oh, I have to comment on this. Also, hi Dan. I know what clowns are. It's the entire Chicago White Sox baseball team. Padres going to the World Series, baby. Now they're going to the playoffs. They're not going to make it. Yeah, holidays in Italy. I've seen mimes pickpocket robbing tourists. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's great. It's great. What else do I have on here? So can anyone do clown? Ultimately, there is a slight recipe. There are some rules. Again, it's vulnerable work. Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to make eye contact with an audience? Are you willing to be an absolute ass? Make an absolute ass of yourself with 1,000% commitment in front of people, and be willing to fail. Are you willing to be that vulnerable? Because not everyone is. For example, I've messaged some people to do stand-up, to do Streamer SmackDown, and they said no because they were just like, I don't know if I can handle that, which is so fair. It's a very vulnerable work. And I would say more vulnerable than improv. I'll say that. And again, with clowning, being okay with failing. Failing is literally key. It's about getting into shit, putting yourself in the shit of it, doing something, taking a really, really big risk, taking big chances, and failing. But like acknowledging that you're failing and like looking at an audience when you fail and sit in it. There's so many times where like you're playing a game or you're doing like some theater game with people, or you're literally playing a board game with people and you like lose and you like hide yourself. Clowning is not about hiding yourself. It's about being so open, doing something ridiculous, and then realizing that people don't like it, and then going like, hey, yeah, you didn't like it. Okay. All right. That's a really important part of clowning. And everyone has a different reaction of how they felt. Some people love it. They're like, yeah, you didn't like it. I'm going to do it again because you don't like it, but do it in a different way. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll like that you know that I am doing a thing you don't like. It's a whole thing. Also, clowning is really about reading a room. It's very vibey. This is like such a vibey art form where like you can come to a show and know you're going to do a show. You're going to do a 10-minute clown set. And you come with like a general premise, whether that's like an outfit or something you're probably going to do of like trying to like, I don't know, you bring a deck of cards and you're trying to build a deck of cards, let's just say. but sometimes you're performing for an audience, and one audience will like it, one audience won't. And you have to be willing to change and be able to give the audience what they want, because again, you're desperate to make them feel something, and you want them to feel like you are there for them. You are there to take care of them and give them something interesting. And if what you're doing isn't interesting enough, like, you just need to drop what you're doing and change it and take a big risk, because that may just end up having an audience fall in love with you. What was I gonna say about this? Premise, if you're looking towards the audience they like. Yeah, just know that, like, yeah, your work is gonna change. I mean, how many times have you ever done, like, streaming, for example? Let's say one day you do a stream and you're playing a game. Let's say you're playing, I don't know, Deep Rock Galactic. Let's say you're playing Deep Rock Galactic and you're kind of doing the same thing every day. You're streaming one day and everyone comes in and everyone's digging what you're doing. You're doing the same exact thing. It's a great time. The next day you go and maybe there's different people in your chat and it's just a different vibe. People just aren't vibing with the game. You're like, maybe I should play a different game. Obviously, streaming's different, because I think with streaming, you should do whatever you want. And maybe with Clown, that can apply too. But streaming, you're doing that for like hours at a time, versus Clown, you're doing that, for like 10, 15, maybe an hour at most. Reading the room, reading the chat. Reading the chat's also much harder, because you can't see people's faces. But it's a really important thing with clowning. You need to be able to, like, really pick up on very subtle energy shifts. And that's why doing clowns slow is really important, especially when you're just starting out. When you're doing clowning, the worst mistake you can do is not have control over your body and just make a mess of things, like physically, and not having control. Being able to have body intelligence is one of the most important things with clowning. If you're able to walk out, and if you do some, like, absurd body movement, but you don't have control over it, an audience feels scared. And you do not want an audience to feel scared. When you start risking things in a way that's not about, like, vulnerability, but you're, like, trying to do a backflip and you don't know how to do a backflip, that's no good. Wrong. Don't do that. Because as soon as you make an audience feel, like, worried for you, you're no longer protecting an audience. And that's something that's really important with clown. You want to make them feel safe, and you want to make them feel safe in getting in the shit with you. Versus, like, getting in the shit of, like, you know, making a silly choice or, you know, making some weird movement with your body. But as soon as you start to do something just, like, flat out dangerous, like, that's not what clowning should be. You want an audience to feel fun and be willing to go on a journey of weird exploration with you. Yeah. Ever played in hospitals? No, I have not. That would be very fun. This is not a school project. This is just me wanting to explain to people the difference between clown and improv. Also, hi, Kyle. How's it going? What's next? Okay, so an ultimate conclusion. I have a lot of videos I can show you of clown, but I almost will just kind of let you all I'll put the links in chat so y'all can go watch it, because I've already watched these, but, in conclusion, a clown's job is not to make you laugh. It is to connect with you and be interesting and compelling. I've seen so much clown where people are doing the most magnificent, beautiful thing, and I don't laugh for a second. And that's okay, because clowns aren't about just making an ass of yourself. It's about connecting with an audience and feeling like what you're doing is interesting. It's being interesting, compelling. You want people to look at you and go like, oh, I'm fascinated by this, which is where, like, subversion of things and challenging institutions can really be a beautiful thing to bring into clowning. I think it's great. I'm stealing this quote from Chad podcast, but in his podcast he brings up, I think, a beautiful quote, which is by Herman Melville, which is, "It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation." This is kind of a complete tangent, but whether you're a streamer or whether you're a content creator or you're an artist or whatever it is, I know I gotta bring it home with this quote. Being able to find your own clown, like finding what makes you as a person interesting and what makes you as a person funny, I think is beautiful. Being able to discover things about yourself and being able to put that on a stage and have people bear witness to that, I think is incredibly powerful. Stealing clown bits from other people or trying, and you can obviously take inspiration, that's obviously different, but and same with content, you know, people can inspire you. They can be content creators, Twitch streamers, YouTubers that inspire you. But ultimately, being able to find what's compelling for you and to you is going to bring you a lot of joy. No amount of you may do something because it succeeds because other people are doing it. You get high numbers because this one thing is working out well. But if it doesn't feel original to you and it doesn't feel like it's you, at the end of the day, I don't think you're going to find the thing you're looking for. Another thing what Chad was telling me about was, at the end of the day, if you can say truly in your heart that you've been able to create moments of joy for yourself and the people around you, that will just like supersede any kind of feeling that like monetary and numerical success will ever bring you. And that's where failing comes in. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to fail a lot in being able to create something original for yourself, whether that's your clown persona or a different type of niche you're falling into on YouTube or on TikTok or on Twitch. What is bringing you joy? And it's okay if some things don't bring you joy. That doesn't mean you have to stop doing it. But you know, like if content creation is just a job for you and it's there to create income for you, I mean, hey, you got to do it. I mean, I'm doing that and I like puzzle games, you know, I like puzzle games and I have a lot of joy from that. So I feel lucky in that regard. But, you know, I think a lot of people can attest to working jobs or even creating content that maybe isn't feeling that level of joy that it could be. And that doesn't mean you should stop doing what you're doing. I think it's something to evaluate and think of, is there any other ways I can try to find joy in my life? Whether that's skewing my content or creating another channel and doing something else, or finding something completely different in your real life and creating something with that. I've been doing that with clown, and it's been one of the most joyous things I've been able to do with my life. I have loved nearly every single person I have met in the clown community in Los Angeles. Some people in this chat have been some of those people, and they're now some of my closest friends. Being around a community of people that are willing to fail and be vulnerable is just like a recipe for having a great community and having people around you that want to take care of each other. Because again, if you're a really good clown, even if you're not funny, whatever, but if you're like a good clown and you follow those rules of connecting with an audience and wanting to take care of an audience, if you can take care of an audience, you can take care of your community. Like there's so much about clowning that I think is really great for building a beautiful life. You know, improv, I think, can do that too. I think improv, you're supporting your scene partners, which can then help you support other people in your life. It's not about getting the cheap laugh. Again, same with clown. There's a lot of cheap tricks in clown, and people do it. Same in improv. You know, people in improv, you come on as the walk-on character and do a little silly thing that you know gets laughs every time. But are you feeling connected with your scene partners? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe you are. But clowning, I think, is one of many things you can do in your life that can bring something to your soul and make you feel fulfilled. Been talking a lot about this. Fulfillment. Andre, thank you for the sub. How you doing, buddy? I don't remember what I was going to say, but I do want to end this on something very funny. I made this. And again, I just want to say, improv is very fun. I don't hate improv. I like to joke about hating improv because I'm allowed to. I've done it for nearly 10 years. I did improv a lot. I did short form. I did long form. Okay, I've done it all. Seen a lot of improv shows. I'm allowed to do this, okay? I decided to make a meme. The improv virgin versus the clown Chad. All right? The improv virgin rereads the UCB handbook every month and has color-coded tabs. Thinks short form is beneath them. Makes fun of an audience for giving a bag suggestion. Plays the same character in shows because they're too scared to try something new. Goes to La Poubelle every night thinking it's going to get them onto a UCB house team. That's like a bar that's right next to UCB, Franklin. Steamrolls their whole team. Yeah, I've watched Shaw and a Half-Ferns, dog. Some of these won't make sense to some people, but that's a really funny one. That's a niche one. Had to pay $400 to retake Technique 101. Grew up watching SNL. Doesn't pay attention to the audience. Oh no, the form's too weird. I'll stick with the Herald. The game, and brings up Del Close very positively. The clown Chad is what you want to be, folks. You want to risk it all for the audience. You want the audience to have a good time. So open and vulnerable. Challenges societal norm. Builds off their failure. Doesn't pretend to be something they're not. It's just happy to be here. Takes the best parts of improv, sketch, and stands up and makes it into clown. You're also performing the oldest art form that's beautiful, honoring ancestral art, has no shame, brings joy to everything they do in life, will fail hundreds of times until they give you what you want, has never seen a full episode of SNL, focuses on building community, and also asks for your consent to throw pie in your face. What do we think? Any notes on this? Anyone who's ever done improv, does this make sense? And yeah, I made this morning. I think it's so cool. I'm gonna post it. I've been really back on Twitter recently. It's been really fun. Non, thank you for gifting a sub to Sam, and thank you for gifting a sub to Luke. What's up, Luke? How you doing? I hope you had a good TwitchCon. I don't know what any of it means, but I'm loving it. It makes sense. Does anyone understand this? Great clown wig drawing, yeah. Also, Evils, what's up? It was so nice getting to meet ya. I hope you had a good TwitchCon too. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, so no worries. I support mimes. I mean, I could do a whole mime thing, but they're kind of both chads. Mimes are great. I only shit on mimes because it's like an old joking like rivalry. I saw a really good mime show about 4 months ago. It was absolutely beautiful. It was so fucking good. Meadow, who was on one of the garage shows we did a while ago, who was Jingles, the like red outfit with the keys and everything, they are like really great like traditional clown, a really great traditional clown artist. They also do mime and they're just absolutely fantastic. Also meet Q. Hi. I studied clowning and improv in college, and this 100,000% checks out. Yay! Okay, good. I think it's great. I think it's great because everyone knows the improv version. Everyone knows the improv version. And everyone wants to be the clown Chad. Which is very funny that Chad's name is Chad. Yeah, Meadow is fantastic. Thank you so much for this presentation. Are there any real approachable, digestible examples of clown that you'd like to show people? Yes. Let me show you a couple of examples right now. Improv version failed GoFundMe to go to Edinburgh. Damn it, see, there's so much. Wait, Dylan, you should make your own version and post it. That's so cool. I'm glad you liked it, Humble. This was very fun. Charna's dogs. Isn't that hilarious? She walks her dogs. She paid me to walk her dogs one time. See, these are the slides I've been looking for. I'm glad, Dylan. I'm glad. What's up? How are you doing? This is so cool. We could watch Chad perform. Oh, you know what? This is a great example. Stamptown. Non knows this guy. I mean, Luke, you know this guy, I think. Zach Zucker, he's a comedian. He's an absolute freak. Some people don't like him, which is fair because he's weird. I have friends who are very good friends with him and perform with him. Just as a performer, absolutely fucking fantastic. Performer, has a show that he's been doing since like for more than 10 years, and just like the past couple years it finally started like really taking off, which I'm really happy for him. Like, he really deserves it. He works really hard. And I had a friend one time tell me, thank God he's doing comedy because he couldn't do anything else, which is hilarious. We all have that friend. I know so many people that have walked those damn dogs. So cool, dude. So cool. Dylan dropped a spoon today on the floor today, and that felt clown. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? See, next, this is a way to practice this. If you're someone who has, like, no access to do any kind of clown, like, if you literally live in the middle of nowhere and the closest town is an hour away, like, next time you do something, like, you're clumsy and you drop something, or you do a little thing in front of someone, and it's, like, quote-unquote embarrassing, like, just look at the person who's with you and just stare at them. And, like, acknowledge that this thing happened. That's clown. Yeah. Yeah, again, if you want to listen to a podcast that explains a lot about clowning, Please go listen to Stand Up and Clown. Let's see. By Chad. Chad has a podcast. They're only like 30 minutes long, which is great. Copy show. Is this? Where is this it? Yeah, go check that out. Yeah, he's really great. He talks about how there's like he has different people on who are either like improv people, stand-up people, clown people. He gets all kinds of comedians on and talks about that and like clowning kind of intersecting with each other. And then he has episodes where it's just him talking about like how to add clowning to your improv, a clown's guide to yes and he has a lot of background. He used to be a wrestler. That's how he has a lot of really great body intelligence. So he talks about wrestling and clown. Talks about entrances when going on stage. He talks about like he even has an episode that talks about like is what I'm doing clowning? It's really great. So he has a better way of explaining it than I do because he has literally decades of experience. He's had people like who's on here? Evan Richter. Just has a lot of really great people. So he talks about, again, this clown scene in LA. Dylan Adler has been on. Talks about the joy of bombing. Just, yeah, please go check it out. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I just tuned in and you exactly described how I live in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, and to do anything cool, Cleveland is an hour away. And that's what I'm saying, Nick. Like, there's a lot of opportunities to do clowning without having to, like, actually do clowning on, like, a stage. Clowning is everywhere. The world is a stage. Yeah, that's all I'll say is listen to those things and you can even try. I mean, honestly, like even if you live in the middle of nowhere, if there's any kind of like stand-up place, I know people who go to stand-up like open mics and then do clown and everyone's like, what the fuck? What a great place to do it. I would say the problem with LA Clown now is like people will go to mics and do clown stuff and now it's like known that people are doing clown things, so it's not much of a shock anymore. But so just know that if you live in the middle of nowhere, it's actually a ginormous treat. You can do weird, cool shit at a stand-up mic and have people go like, what the fuck was that? Some people genuinely will be mad at you because they're like, this is for stand-up. I don't know what the hell that was. But you're making people have a reaction. And if that's not clown, I don't know what is. Open mics are despicable. Please go violate them with clown. That's what I'll say. I will say that. Again, listen to Chad's thing. Watch his stuff on Instagram, a bunch of other things. But here's an example of clowning kind of energy mixed with like stand-up. But again, a lot of this stuff is either devised work that like Zach has discovered over time. So some of these things might be like, oh, something he literally just made up now, or stuff that he made up one time on stage and then realized it did really well and is now bringing it into like his regular routine of doing this kind of show. Because he does shows all the time now, all over the US. But I think something really cool about clowning is that, like, making an audience feel like it took a ton of work went into the show and they can't tell the difference of whether it was improvised or not. I think that's really fun. Mark! Mark. Imagine art on stream. Imagine art on Twitch. Heard it doesn't happen. Is that true? Is that true? Hi, Possum. Hi, Spicy. And what's everyone? I just did an hour-long stream talking about what clowning is and the difference between improv and clowning. We're going to watch an example of someone doing clowning, kind of, because it's hard to explain it. But I hope you had a good stream, Mark. Everyone go follow Mark. Mark's really cool, and he's also really mean. Is this true? I've heard he's mean, because he tells me that he's mean, but then he's really nice, so I'm confused. Which is that clown? And that's why it's a joke to be like, oh, is that clown? That's so clown. Because kind of anything can be clown, and that's fun. If it brought you joy and you're being present with someone, it's clown. You know? Anyway, Possum and Senster, thank you for the follows. What's everyone? Hi, John. Hi, Verve. Sandy. Hello. Azul, hello. Kai, hello. Or Kay, hello. Marcus Clown? I don't know. But that's like where... Yeah. I could not tell which parts of the SmackDown was practiced. None of it. That's the beauty of it. That's what's great. Oh, I'll never know. Also, hi, Nikki. Mark talked about Kegels the whole stream. Mark, can I tell the dream that you had? Did you tell people on stream about the dream you had? Can I tell them the dream you had? It was pretty cool. Mark had a dream and I was in it, so I want to say what it was. And then we'll watch this. I told him, yeah, you can tell him better. I'll tell it better? Okay. Mark messaged me on Discord and was like, hey, Kip, I told Corgi Pasta this, but I wanted to tell you, because Sam laughed really hard at this, but I had a dream that I was in your Streamer Smackdown show, and I came on like at the end and I did something really cool and everyone applauded and cheered because it was so great, but then realized that they were only cheering me because they thought I was Pay Money Wubby, and then they realized I was Dudlick, and then they were all really bummed and pissed. That's really cool. Mark, you'll be on the show one day. And then people will applaud you. Azul, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, again, if you're a streamer who ever wants to do Streamer Smackdown and you're going to be at TwitchCon next year, or you happen to be in the general Los Angeles area or willing to fly out to do Streamer Smackdown, please message me. I would love to get some new people on. I'd love to get also people who just haven't done the show, or people who haven't done like any of my comedy things. There were some people who reached out who wanted to do Streamer Smackdown, and I'll have them on eventually, but I did want to give people a chance who haven't done like anything I've done, because I've done the improv show, I've done the garage show, I've done like the one that was at PDA. So I'd like to give some new people chances to do something really vulnerable. What are the hardest places to perform clowning? I don't know. I mean, hardest place, maybe like a stand-up place, just because like people might like a really just like, but then some people might like it. So it's hard. I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. But let's watch this. Here's a really great example of like clown getting introduced to like this is clown. I'll just say that. Hold on. Let me put on subtitle.
I just want to get to know this crowd. This is truly one of the most beautiful crowds I've ever seen in my entire life. If I may. May I approach? Relax. What's your name?
See, like that alone, what's your name? And then just points at everyone, not sure who to ask. Like that alone was probably a bit that was probably already been done. But at some point when he was devising this work, he came up with that. And that's clown. Anyway, the thought of performing clown at a stand-up show and everyone getting pissed is really funny. That's what I'm saying. I think you should do it. I think anyone who has a chance to do that should absolutely do that, because it's really funny. Because some people might be like, whoa, and you might introduce them to something new, and you can then spread the word of clowning.
What's your name? I choked on a pita chip. A pita chip.
See, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. That's clown. See, he's making a risk, but he's like committing to it. He's like, yeah, I'm just being silly. He's really, honestly, such a hilarious. He's really funny. He's really fucking funny. Thank God. Clowning was the hardest class I took in college. Yes, because the eye contact, Sandy. Because of the eye contact. What was hard about it for you, Sandy? Yeah, the rehearsal serves to kind of break the ice and give the vibe of what we would do during the show. Anything that happened was completely on the spot. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It was improvised, but there was a premise, and it was clown.
That was an absolute rip.
Also, a big shout out to his tech people who are like so fast on it. The tech people also work as such an important integral part of the show. Usually Jeremy from Business Casual does a lot of their tech stuff, does like the soundboard things. So obviously that pita chip thing was planned because the soundbite, but it's really funny because at some point it wasn't, and they were like, oh, we should do this thing. It's great. This is actually a great example of like when you've done clowning for so long and you devised for so long, you take the best parts of all the things you've ever done and put it together. There you go.
Right there. Yeah, what's your name? Roasted! Fuck you! Good to see you. Time to go back to riffing. potato chip. Okay, but that's my brother. So, brother. Oh, so, in a way, David, you're kind of my family guy. It's hilarious for the poor people who that's my brother. So, is anyone else in here who has a name? I know it's broken, huh? But
Oh, great. He's really good. He's really good.
I don't know if you guys know this, but and I came up with that on the spot. Okay, you guys are weird, but I'm truly. This is call me Team Rocket because I'm blasting off right now. Thank you. By the way, you guys are stylish. Cargo pants? No. Cargo vroom. But we have another performer. I'm so excited to have this next performer on. We've had him. Yeah. It deserved a little bit more. Let's milk a little bit. We got a bucket of laughs, but sorry, I didn't realize this crowd was lactose intolerant. But
Stupid. Anyway, he's kind of a riff king. It's very good. This view seems very stream of consciousness. Yes, I mean, clown is a lot of that. It's like discovering on stage what's working and just going with it. Obviously, this guy's really fucking good, and he's been doing this for so long that thank God he's this good. But yeah, I mean, he's been doing this since he was like 16. So like, yeah, he's like in his 30s now or something. I don't know. No, he's like 20 something. He's like 28, I think, actually. Yeah. Is he standing in garbage? No, it's a bunch of confetti. I don't know. Something weird happened before then. This show's very weird. It's very funny. If you ever get a chance to go see Stamptown anywhere, go follow Stamptown on Instagram. Seriously, one of the like funniest shows. Like Chad's shows and Stamptown are like one of my favorite live shows to see. If you ever have a chance, I cannot recommend it enough. He has like guest performers come on, and they're also like really great and fantastic. He has really unique stuff. He has burlesque stuff sometimes. He's had like puppets on. He's had just all kinds of things. Chad's been on it a lot. Chad's actually now in New York doing this Stamptown right now. So yeah. I think it's a muscle to really find a bit, and sometimes you think you found one to riff on and it doesn't really work. It's pure discovery. Yeah, devising, again, is a really big work of just everything. I mean, even with streaming, it's a lot of devising. With comedy, it's a lot with improv, with clown, with singing. There's a lot of devise work. If you just have to try shit. You have to fail a fuck ton. Lot of failing. But being able to be comfortable with failing. If you're someone who's like, I am too nervous to put things out there because I need it to be perfect, do clown. That will absolutely kick your ass and will then make you to put out shit. Because, for example, doing the first Streamer Smackdown, was it fantastic? It was fun. It was really good. Was the tech great? Absolutely not. Did the whole entire show go smoothly? No. But it was an absolutely great show and I had so much fun and I learned a bunch. And this next show we did, was the tech 10 times better? Yes. Was the show format actually like a little more interesting and had a better ending? Yes. You're literally never gonna get better unless you do bad shit. And not even bad shit. It's not even gonna be bad. Like, it's good that you're even putting shit out there. So many people who are successful are only successful because they're literally doing it. And I don't mean to be annoying or be an asshole. I'm sorry I'm being an asshole. It's just like, I want to see my friends do cool stuff. I want to empower people to make really cool things because I know that there are a lot of people in this community that are really nice and really fun and I know are capable of creating such fascinating things, whether that's art or burlesque or, writing or anything. Fear is, people are so scared of failing. But it's not necessarily that they're scared of failing. It's like another thing. They're scared to embarrass themselves in front of people. They're scared of having people think that they're something they're not. They're afraid of people looking down on them. And it's yeah, that's fair. That's scary. I have those things as well. I'm worried, sometimes people are going to think like I'm not funny. I took a clown class with Dylan. And I took about 12 classes. The first 3 classes I took, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so funny. Like, yeah, this is great. I'm killing it. The next 3 classes, I proceeded to bomb so bad that I literally was like, oh, I'm not funny. Like, I'm not funny. I am not actually cut out for this. I have no idea why I decided to do this class. Like, going to class made me feel bad. And then eventually it got to the point where I like it broke me to a point where I was just like, okay, fuck it, whatever. I did so bad last time that whatever I do can't be worse than that. And then there's this moment that happens where you loosen up and you kind of, not necessarily, it's not ego death, and I wish. But I got on stage and did something and got a laugh and then got a kind of interesting reaction from doing something and then just followed it. And that was like the moment where I was like, oh, this is clown. What I was doing earlier kind of wasn't clown, because like when I first did it, again, like improv background, wasn't really staring at the audience, wasn't really doing stuff. I was just fucking around and just being obnoxious. And that can be very fun and interesting. But when you are trying to learn the art of clown and be very intentional and deliberate with like how your body is moving and how you want to connect with an audience, it's just like, it's a lot of work, and it's, again, hard to do. It's hard to do. I saw people try to do it, and eventually I figured it out. But even then, like, I not to sort of, you know, jack myself up, but I was doing pretty well in that class, like, in general. Like, I had a good time, and I felt like I was able to, like, understand stuff quickly. Like, even when I bombed and shit, I was still able to, like, do interesting things. It was just hard, because sometimes some people just couldn't get it. And it's like you can't even explain it. Like sometimes you'll even find people who are clowns who will go on stage and look at an audience and you're like, oh, you're staring at us, but I feel like you're still not really looking at us. Does that make sense? Like your eyes are staring at me, but it's like you're not here. And it's just like, I can't even explain how someone would have to be present, because you just have to just be present. There's no it's hard to explain. It's like breathing and being slow and intentional and not doing a movement because you're scared. Doing a movement because you're being confident in the choice of you doing that, even if you have no idea where it's going to go. Because that's fucking life, baby. Shit's going to happen all the time. You have no idea what's going to happen next. But as long as you're able to go confidently into something, even if you're like, this is probably not going to work out, but I'm going to do it anyway and be confident in it, will take you so much farther than like doing something, but just in your mind pretending like, no, I'm going to act like I'm confident, but I'm not. Versus like, I know I'm not confident, but I'm still going to put all my energy into trying my best at it. That's the difference. Because obviously you can't fake confidence. But you can authentically be as present as you possibly can. And I think that translates to confidence. I think that's kind of what confidence is like being present with something and knowing that you trust yourself enough that you'll get out of this. Like, you know that this is going to be something that will teach you something, even if you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm just going to be there and I'm going to be present and I'm going to be still and I'm going to engage with my core. And I'm going to give this presentation at work. Like, that's what it goes. Like, yeah, you can apply that to anything. Like, I know people, again, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. But hopefully that kind of explained clowning a little bit. Was that helpful? So it's shoplifting clown. If you can do it confidently, it can be. Absolutely. Any questions? Also, Giant Wombat, what's up? Any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Again, listen to Stand Up and Clown. Go watch Natalie Palamides' special on Netflix. Support local art. Support local theater. Go see, contact theaters in your local area on Instagram. Ask them about their comedy scene. If there's not much, try doing weird shit at stand-up mics. You'd be surprised. I think the best way is like, yeah, if you listen to Stand Up and Clown and then go to an open mic, I think you'll set yourself up to do something interesting. Hi, Miley. How you doing? Is that how you say your name? Welcome in. Storming the Capitol as a clown. That's very much possible. That's absolutely possible. What a great PowerPoint. I loved this. I loved making this. This brought me the most joy. I loved researching clown stuff. Again, like, you can go watch YouTube videos about, like, the true history of clowning and everything, but my main focus today was being able to explain, like, the difference between like modern clown and improv and what's happening in the scene. And again, a lot of this information is stuff from like Chad's podcast and just my own experience. So there are some people who will disagree with what I'm saying. There are people who have very different perspectives on it. I am just, I'm in the thick of clowning, and so I'm really interested in it. So I'm happy to spread the word of it and hopefully find ways for people to find joy. Because for me, at the end of the day, I want to find joy, and what brings me joy is being able to help other people find joy. And clown brings me so much joy that I'm like, oh, I want everyone else to do clown so that they can feel moments of joy. Because joy and like happiness is not a permanent state. I think as humans, we're truly neutral at our core, and things happen to us and we feel happy for a moment and then it flees. I don't think people are happy people. I don't think people are sad people. I think sadness and things are emotions that affect us in a moment and then leave. And so joy is that same way too. I think we are fully neutral, and clown is a way for a lot of moments of joy to wash over us at times. And I do love having moments of joy, so I feel really grateful that I can share that information to people here. Yeah, so thank you for letting me talk about something that brings me a lot of joy. Maybe at some point next week we'll play some sort of clown video game. I don't know. I'm not trying to market myself as like a clown streamer, because I very much, again, don't do traditional clown. I do weird alternative clown sketch stand-up thing, but I love learning about clowning. I love taking clown classes. I love watching clown shows. It's really interesting for me. I guess it's just because like I've done my time with improv. I'm not to say that I'll never do improv again. I'm sure I will do improv again at some point. I would love to be on a team. That would probably be interesting for me. But I don't think I would get as much out of doing improv as it would for me doing clown. I also just love doing new things. Yeah. Hot take, I like moments of joy. Moments of joy bring me joy. Yeah. Thank you for the wealth of knowledge. I will begin my clown studies. Heck yeah. And even then, like if you ever wanted to come to LA, like Chad teaches like 2-3 day intensives. Very fun. Highly recommend. Follow Chad Damiani on Instagram. There's a lot of opportunities. So like if you ever came to TwitchCon like next year, you could then like, if you have the funds, obviously, like you could stay a couple days in LA and do some clowning. There's a lot of open mics as well. PlaySpace is an open mic for clowns. There's a bunch of different stuff all over. Yeah, people are doing all kinds of cool shit. That's the thing. So many people are doing really cool shit in LA, and it feels really fun to be a part of it. That's weird. It's weird to be a part of it. I'm still very new to it. There are people who've been doing this for decades in the LA scene. It's just now kind of grabbing my attention, and it feels really exciting to be a part of it. Again, like everyone is so nice. Everyone in clown is so nice. Obviously, you're gonna find assholes. That's just inevitable. But I think clowning kind of breeds this interesting kind of person that I just really vibe with. Yeah, Flash, I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. This was great. Hearing this stuff is good even when you know some of this stuff. Thanks for doing this, buddy. Yeah. I'm glad that I can tell people that what we did was not improv, that it was clown. And I will not hit my head with a hammer anymore. It was a fake hammer, by the way. I'm sure people assumed this. I will check that podcast and probably watch what I missed in the VOD. Yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube too, just so I can continue to spread the word of it. I'm not trying to be a video essay Andy, but I will put out information that I think is interesting for people to know about. Because again, I don't have a lot of knowledgeable specialties in my brain, but I do have a lot of experience with improv and what I'm doing now, which is clown, and learning about it, and it's just great. Sorry if this was mentioned, but did you all wear black on purpose? Yes. It's called like theater blacks. Usually it's worn to not distract from the artist themselves, like their face. Wearing all black versus like wearing like logos or flashy outfits can be distracting as an audience member. And so to wear something fully neutral is really great to then like highlight what's happening with like just overall a person's body and their face. When you wear stuff with like logos or it's colorful, it kind of like yeah, it's just it comes from a place of like of neutrality. An outfit is not there to to speak for you. It's like the most like it's almost as close to like being naked, I suppose, is what we're trying to get to, I guess. Yeah, I can appreciate it. I just love it. I just love it. I love clown. This like past year has been such an honor. I've literally like it's done so much great stuff to my brain, and being able to bring it to streaming is fascinating. This is what I kind of wanted to do for a long time. Because when I very, very first started streaming was in 2016 for 3 months. And at the time I was also doing long form improv for the first time. And I was like, oh man, I would love to be able to stream like long form improv and streaming, but I don't even know how the hell that would work. Like no one was really doing, no one was like even doing just chatting. Like it was truly just gaming. That like just chatting IRL shit like was not a thing in 2016. And so it was really, it's so fascinating to be like, oh, I figured it out. And I'm still going to figure it out and things will change and maybe I'll find the real thing, even though this feels like the real thing to me. It's weird to be like, wow, Kip, remember that thing you wanted to do in 2016, nearly 8 years ago? Like you're doing that now. That's crazy. What an honor. Question, is it bad to laugh at your own jokes while performing clown? No, I do it all the time. I would say that's like a classic clown cheap trick. It's like breaking. It's like when you see an SNL sketch and someone laughs and they're trying not to. It's a human thing. You can't help but laugh. I don't think it's bad to laugh at your own jokes, especially if you're being authentic, you know? Like you're with an audience and you're laughing at yourself and you're not doing it to like make them laugh. You're just laughing at yourself. Yeah, I think like as long as you're staring at an audience and you're not being mean to an audience is the worst thing you could do as a clown. Don't be mean to the audience. Like as soon as you blame the audience about stuff, it's mean. Every time I've watched clown or stand up and people are like, oh, like, hey, like, come on, you guys, you didn't like that. It's like, no, come on. You're trying to make the audience feel comfortable and safe. It's your fault. Like, it's not the audience's fault that they didn't like it. It's your fault that they didn't like it. You're not giving them what they want or what they need. That's your job. Your job is to make them like something. That's projection 1,000% When I see comedians do something and an audience doesn't really react to it and they're like, well, I guess you didn't like that. It's like, oh, you suck. There's ways to do it, but I think that it's easy to tell when someone is like, it's like, yeah, them projecting the fact that like they're trying to do a thing they like versus like, it's not about you. Like for clowns, it's not about us. It's about the connection we make with an audience. Also, what's up, Game Pass Dad? I always yell at my audience. It makes them feel at home. See, there's like a way to do it. And the thing is, there is a way to do it in a way that makes an audience feel safe. Because I think certain people can't do it. I'll say that. Like, if you were just naturally, like, someone who comes off as angry, and it's vibes. Again, it's vibes. Like, I think some people can't do it. Also, hi, Holly. This screen makes me want Burger King. Isn't this fun? But yeah, it's just different than improv. And again, I'm going to go back to the first quote. The flop is the friend of the clown. You should be grateful that you get to be in front of an audience and fail and be able to take that as a beautiful lesson and be able to fail in front of people and create a healthier relationship with failing for yourself. Everyone here needs to fail at least like 10,000 more times in life. Like at least. And that's going to make you feel so much better. Because that was the thing too, is when I was taking my clown class and I was not doing well, I was failing. I had such a hard time accepting it. I was like, I got really frustrated. I went to the bathroom after class and I cried. I'm someone who's like, I am like a fool. I love to make a fool of myself. And I went to the bathroom and cried. So I just want to let you all know it is vulnerable work. It is vulnerable work. And every single person I know who has taken this class has cried or had like a breakdown. But it's great. It's very therapeutic and you come out of it and you then become more comfortable with failure. It's great. I did make this PowerPoint. I did. By Hey Kip. I got like the color templates from Canva, but I made all of this. But isn't this great? But yeah. My background. Just examples of clowns. Yeah. I just love it. I love clown. And I love this image. Love everything about this. Luffy, what's up? Love seeing the show build on itself and progress. It gives me so much inspiration for what's possible on Twitch. Yeah, like I want people to fail and make weird shit. I love weird shit. I love weirdos and I love freaks. And I love that. And you know what I will say? I don't love that Chad called me a dork because that's not mean enough. He needed to be meaner. He needed to be meaner to me. And having no shame. Like, isn't it beautiful to be able to want to, like... So many people can't do it. But they can't. It's not that they can't do it. They can do it. It just takes time. And it takes a lot of work. Yeah. Is it called clown school? Well, there's clown school in LA, and that's like a whole other thing. I haven't taken that. I've taken Idiot Workshop. That's what me and Easy took. And a lot of our other friends have taken it. There's also, Kevin, are you still here? What's that one class? I want to take this one class where it's like a clown class and it's like Chad, but actually like 10 times meaner. But they do really help you in figuring out like what is your clown and what is funny about you, and what you're doing is not funny. Keep changing it. It's like, I think that one will actually ruin me. I don't know what that one is. Do you know, Easy? I love being a fucked up little guy. I love being a fucked up little guy. Dr. Brown. Yes, I want to take a Dr. Brown class really bad. It sucks. It's awful, I know. Maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, no, Chad is nice. I'm gonna say this. Chad is really, really nice. He's so sweet. He's so kind. He's really, really sweet in rehearsal and everything. Like, obviously, when he goes into that mode, he's a different character. It's hard. It sucks. Yeah. Maybe I'm not ready for it. Maybe I just have to take Idiot again. I took time off because I was so busy. No, take it? Okay, well. Maybe I'm ready. Breaking down and crying in Idiot class, I think I got over that, so I should be okay. Devon, hi! I like being grilled. It's so fun. Well, it's so fun because I feel like, obviously, like, I like that there's, like, a safe space for someone to be mean to you. You know what I mean? Like, someone's gonna be mean to me for my ideas, and they're gonna be mean to me for, like, me being, like, silly. I love that. But no one's gonna make fun of me for, like, being, like, non-binary. Unless it's, like, another queer friend, you know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna actually, like, harm me. Does that make sense? Like, it's really... I love people being an asshole to me in ways where it's like, oh yeah, I deserve that. Versus things like I can't control, you know? I love it. I love getting roasted. I love getting roasted. It's really nice and it's really fun. It's an understood mean, yes. And it's so fun. It's so fun. And I love watching my other friends get roasted. Also, Gira, thank you for the follow. And Luffy, thank you for gifting a sub to Devon. Let's go. And also the way he sets up his shows too with Chad is like, he sets it up because in a way where he wants you to succeed. Like, he will reinforce like, oh yes, what you're doing is good. I like that. Yes. And he can just tell when you're not fully committing and not fully looking at an audience. That's when he's going to make fun of you. It's so fun. Is there also positive reinforcement in these classes? They sound so evil. No, I'll be honest, Chad's classes are really mean. I took his 3-day intensive, and he did this thing. I don't know if I even want to say because I feel like it's spoiling, like, his classes. Do you think I'm allowed to say this, Kevin? Am I allowed to say, like, what his classes are like? I don't know. I feel like I can. They're so funny. Like, just the classes themselves are like a show, and they're really fun. You get to watch, like, everyone in your class, like, do something, and it's really great. Yeah, okay. Every class I took Dr. Brown, someone ended up crying on stage. See, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, so, okay, Chad does this thing in his classes I took one time, and he did this thing where he asked 3 people to go on stage. Okay, some people cannot do it. Okay, you go up on stage, 3 people. And he goes, okay, each one of you are going to just do this random thing. And then at the end, we're going to vote on who was the best, who was the worst, and who was the most forgettable. then you do a thing, and then everyone in class has to vote one time on who they thought was the best, and who was the worst, and who was the most unforgettable out of all three. And you never want to be the unforgettable one. You do not want to be the unforgettable one. It feels really bad. When I did it, I got the best, and then I got the worst. And that's good. You want to be the worst sometimes. Sometimes you want to be the little stinker. Because I'll say this, in rehearsal with Aggie, he was like, Chad was making fun of him so hard the whole time. And in the sense, like, that made him, like, the worst. But in that regard, brought him a lot of attention and then kind of made him the best, if that makes sense. It's when people are forgettable, and that's the one that hurts. I'll say that. So that's why committing and giving your energy to something, even if you know it's going to be dog shit, people won't forget about you. And you don't want to be forgettable. I got best and the worst. Oh my god. Yeah. If you ever tell him you're uncomfortable with it, he will stop. Yeah, that's true. Like, he is very much like, you know, I make mistakes. I try my best to make fun of your ideas. And if at any point I say something that is over a line that I don't realize, please tell me and I will adjust that. Like, it's such a great space for failing for literally everyone, not just as a performer, but for him as a teacher. Like, I felt so comfortable being able to, like, say things to him, which was really great. Yeah, it's just awesome. It's really great. I'm learning there are a lot of circus schools crowding the Google search for clowning in my city. I will say Instagram is a better place to do it than just Google. Go onto Instagram and find, like, a local theater. This is how I would do it. I would go onto Instagram and find a local theater near you, message them on Instagram, and ask them if they know of any clown things. And if they're really bad at responding on Instagram, then just, you have to go in person to a theater, like a stand-up place, and just ask everyone who's there if they know of any places. Word of mouth is the best way to find these kind of things, because you're not, like, the places that in classes I've taken, like, are not ones I could have found online. Like, everything I've heard is from word of mouth. Because a lot of this stuff is not made for money. So a lot of the stuff is not, like, SEO'd on Google or anything like that. This is very much like building community. So Google is not built to help you find things like that sometimes. So I will say, yeah, go on Instagram, find local theaters, talk to people who you even know that do stand-up or any other things in your area, and see what you can do. Theater meaning, like, ideally like an independent small theater. Even places where, like, even if there isn't one, try to find, like, an open mic. And there's got to be people there that know stuff. There has to be. And if not, they'll know someone who they could get you in contact with. I'll say people who are in the clown and just comedy scene are more than happy to spread information like that. So, being shy is the biggest hurdle to helping, towards, finding the resources you're trying to find. Yeah, Chad has really good solo episodes about clown theory, and just explaining clown really well, a lot more than what this image is describing, although it's very funny, and it's very true. But yeah, it's great. There's, again, so many different types of clown. The clown I learn is very different than a clown you might learn, just because you are taking it from a different stuff. There is also Bouffon. Bouffon classes are really cool. Mime classes are really fun. And again, it's, like, not the traditional sense. It's taking things from art forms you like and making it modern and making it your own. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's what is going to help you find success in fulfillment of creating something unique for yourself. Although maybe traditional clown and traditional mime speaks to you, and then that's yours, you know? There's a lot to discover. And that's what life is for, is just discovering all these things. Yeah, that's all I have to really say. May you find little moments of joy. May you find your clown in just every little thing you do in your life. And may no one ever make you take an improv class. Bye.